Media days, when they open up a roller coaster and you get to ride, can be really cool. Or not. Here's a look at my experiences opening up SheiKra at Busch Gardens, Manta at SeaWorld, as well as a couple others. One of the things that I have really been blessed with is the opportunity to experience what's called a media day. It's the day when a park opens up a brand new roller coaster or attraction. They invite all the TV media, the radio stations, even the internet media now with YouTube and blogs and stuff like that, and have them come out and experience this brand new roller coaster or ride and broadcast it all over the place so that people get excited about it and want to come. It's essentially a huge public relations day for the parks, where they're trying to put their best foot forward out there and make themselves look good. One of the ways they do that, especially if it's a roller coaster, is they've got all of these empty seats on the train that they really want to fill for the cameras with people who are excited to ride, happy to be there, cheering, smiling, and making them look good. And that's where the roller coaster clubs and some others come in. And that's actually how I got to go along. I was a member of ACE when I was living out in California, and am today. That's the American Coaster Enthusiasts, as well as the Florida Coaster Club. And with both cases, there were times when the park was going to open a new ride, and they would actually contact the coaster clubs and say, hey, can you bring a few people out, fill up our rides, and make us look good? They would have different criteria for who they were going to allow to come in. Sometimes it was first come, first choice as far as getting on the list. Other times you had to have done something with the club and various other things. So you couldn't always get in. It was not a free-for-all. You could not just show up on the media day and get in. That wasn't going to happen. You had to be on the list. You would actually get there early, and when I say early, I think in almost every case it was well before sunrise. When I was there for Animal Kingdom doing Expedition Everest, we were filming a TV special and commercials, and it was like 4 in the morning when we got to the park. With the others, it was typically about 5 or 6, and you would arrive and you'd start looking for the other people who were part of your group. Being Coaster Club people, we kind of knew each other, and so it was easy to figure out where we were. We check in, the park people would actually have somebody out there making sure everybody was on the list, and if you weren't on that list, you weren't getting in. They would then also check and make sure that you were dressed according to the dress code that they had. Maybe they might have you wearing certain colors for a certain roller coaster. For example, Scream, they really wanted us to wear blue, and they even painted our faces so that we matched the colors on the coaster for it. The Busch parks, when we arrived for SheiKra and for Manta, they actually gave us shirts to wear for the cameras. So this is my Manta one. My SheiKra one was a bright orange. Yeah, bright orange. Whew. But otherwise, they wanted you to wear certain solid colors or park-specific things. They didn't want logos for other parks or busy-looking shirts. So they would look you over and make sure you match the dress code you've been given earlier. And if you didn't, sorry, thank you for coming. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. So you had to make sure that you were following the rules. They would then have a meeting where they would gather everybody around and make sure that everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing, what they could say, what they shouldn't say, how they wanted you to talk to the media, how they wanted you to behave, where you could ride, where you couldn't ride, because there were parts of the rides that were reserved for the media representatives. Generally, with a media day, the front row or front 2 rows are reserved for the TV cameras and the people riding. They'll actually have cameras hooked up on the coaster that will film them while they're riding. They may attach GoPros to them that the park provides normally. And so that was kind of reserved, that you didn't get to ride there. And the back row oftentimes was like that as well. Not always, but sometimes. So you had a limited area where you got to sit, and it meant sometimes standing around a lot. It was cool when you got to walk back and you'd see this coaster silhouetted at night, and, oh cool, we get to see that. And then you walk in the station, and all right, this is going to be cool. And then you stand around and wait, and wait, and wait, and wait. And there's a lot of waiting on media days. After every ride, they've got to stop the train and adjust the cameras, get the memory cards off so that way they can transfer the video over to the people who want it and need it, and a lot of standing around. And so on a media day, you may only have a roller coaster actually being dispatched every 5 to 10 minutes. And the rest of the time, you're just kind of standing there going, oh boy. But then when you're riding, Make sure you're smiling, make sure you look good, because there's cameras all along the way taking pictures of you. Photographers out there trying to get pictures of everybody on the ride, so you want to make sure you look good and happy and smiling. Actually, with Manta in particular, that did start to cause a little bit of an issue, because Manta being a new coaster, and you would ride over and over again. A lot of times you wouldn't get off the coaster. You would just keep riding, and you'd sit there and wait for a few minutes, and then you ride again. Well, Manta, the way it's designed as a flying coaster, it actually started to get some of us sick. And so we had a hard time smiling, and sometimes after like 6 rides or so, we'd actually have to take a break. My son had no problem. He just rode over and over, but for a lot of us, that was a different experience. Now, we were also not allowed to take cameras or anything like that on for ourselves. I mean, that's a rule anyway. You shouldn't be bringing your own camera on. They reinforced that with us because sometimes you might get somebody thinking, oh, cool, I'll go on a media day and then I can film, and nope. You could bring your camera and you could take pictures off the ride and around and outside, as long as you didn't get in the way of any of the actual real media. You were not supposed to be up where it could possibly interfere with any broadcast or anything, and certainly not on the ride itself. One of the things that was really interesting about media days is most of the time the ride was not open to the public. And in fact, in many cases, the park itself wasn't. Scream's Media Day, the park was completely closed. That was also true with Time Traveler. It was actually done before the park opened for the season. But some of the parks, in particular the Busch parks and Disney, they're open year-round, which means they're going to be open on the day that you're doing the media day. So the ride itself may be closed to the public, but they're certainly out there watching you ride once the park opens. SheiKra, in fact, the station itself wasn't even finished when we were actually doing the media day. They hadn't finished some of the ramps that came over. We had the loading side that was done, but the unload side, it wasn't quite finished, and the gardens weren't done. And so we were actually having to unload on the load side, and it made it quite interesting. Nobody else that wasn't specifically there for the media day and credentialed was getting in to ride SheiKra that day. Manta, on the other hand, once we were done with the media day, they actually opened it up to the public. So sometimes the public will get in to ride afterwards, but not always. Most of the time they didn't. It was really a preview before anybody else got to ride. And then after you were done riding, sometimes when you would take a break, they usually had food set up for you. Sometimes it might be a full meal. Other times it would be snacks and drinks. But there was always at least something, because they wanted you to be able to keep riding and keep energized and ready to go. Some of the parks would actually take a break during lunch, and they would shut down, let everybody eat, all the crew and everybody else, and then they would reopen and restart again. Other times you just kept going, and you would just find time to take a break, walk over to wherever they had the food, get something to eat, sit down, kind of re-energize a little bit, and then go right back to riding again. The other thing you would do when you would take a break sometimes is you would walk away and just kind of go out by the entrance and relax. And sometimes you would actually have the TV cameras or the vloggers or other people grab you and say, hey, can you say a little bit of something about the ride? Now, if you weren't ready to be really enthusiastic and happy and make it sound good, you would generally say, yeah, no, thanks, sorry, appreciate it. I actually never got asked. They wanted you to make it sound good, and so that was part of the early morning coaching, is if you were asked to speak on camera, please keep these things in mind. Be positive, be friendly, be happy, make it look good, don't say anything negative. That's part of the reason you're there. It doesn't mean you're selling out to the park. You're just there to make them look good for that one day. So you might end up on camera. You might end up with famous people. I got to meet astronauts at the opening of SheiKra. That was really cool. Sometimes they will have celebrities come in to open them, and then you might get a chance to meet them, or not. But there was always something special going on with it, and so you could learn all sorts of things and meet new people and have fun. You just had to be prepared for lots of standing around and waiting, lots of trying to make everybody else look good, lots of smiling sometimes when maybe you didn't feel like smiling. Of course, there were some other perks. You had to get your group shot with everybody you were there with, and we definitely did that with the Florida Coaster Club. And then sometimes, if people liked you, you might even get an extra little bonus, kind of like my son did here with this. Yep, he actually got on-ride pictures on Manta. Cool. Keep in mind, if you ever do get invited to one, if you were ever there as part of the media, or as one of the riders with the Coaster Club or some other group, you were there to benefit the park. Media days are there to make them look good, and that is your whole purpose for being there. It's not for you, it's for them. And so even when I got to go to Time Travelers Media Day representing my channel, it was as a representative to make that coaster and that park look good. And so I highlighted everything positive, which was actually very easy with Time Traveler. It's a great ride. But that is what a Media Day is to make them look good, and you are there to help them do that. So that's a look at Media Day and what it's like. Did you ever get to participate in one, or would you have liked to? I'd love to hear your feedback. Share it in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification if you haven't. Share this video with your friends who might be thinking about a Media Day as well, or what it would be like for them. Thank you so much for my patrons supporting me as well. They rock. If you want to know more about Patreon and financial support and merchandise and websites and feedback and how to get a hold of me, it's all in the description below. Check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless. I was a member of Mace? Yeah, I had mace. We just spray you in the eyes.